Hello, welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. As a reminder, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations. I almost died there. Open for the public and on the level. To interact with us, we love seeing you every Thursday night live, so you can catch us on Facebook or on YouTube, or you can catch the replays later and see what goes on in the chat. Love chatting with you live, or on your favorite podcast app after that. You know me. My name is, wait for it, John Ruark. I'm a past master of the Patriot Lodge number 1957, and I haven't died yet from this cough, so I'll fix that while we introduce Jason Richards. Hello and good evening.
Hello and good evening. I can't believe you muted me through all of that because I was throwing hella shade.
Yes, as well you should.
Yes. I'm Jason Richards, past master of Vacation Lodge number 16 in Clifton, Virginia, member of the Colonial Lodge number 1821 in Lafayette, number 79.
Woo! There's the woo for tonight. And for now, some of the other hosts are slowly trying to get their internet connection working. Some of them were going to be mobile, but you know what? Let's get right to the good stuff. Let's get right to complete our trifecta of the TMR Alumni Month. That is the one, the only, Mike Hambrecht. Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Great. Absolutely great. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Good to be back on.
Yeah, so it's like, are you Mike the Intern? You'll forever be Mike the Intern, right?
Yes.
And so that is your emeritus title. But it's super awesome to have you back on here. Just wanted to see how what you've been up to since you've been on the show, and I think you've already previewed some of the really cool things you wanted to share with us tonight on the show. So we'll also tie that into the Masonic context as well. But it's super awesome to have you back on, and looking forward to hearing what you've been up to. So before we get to that, especially want to give a shout out to all the patrons who've been supporting the show. You guys are awesome. And if you want to head over and make sure this education show goes on for many years to come, head over to patreon.com/the Masonic Roundtable, and that will keep us upgrading new gear and maybe getting Joe and RJ some better bandwidth for their phones on the road. We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. It's like rolling the dice. I see Joe trying to connect again. We'll see if it goes through. Joe, can we hear you? Audio test. Joe? 1, 2, 3. Do we hear you, Joe? Not yet. Okay.
It's better that way.
Yes. All right, so let's get right into it. Hammy, it's super great to see you. What have you been up to since we talked last?
Yeah, I will start with the hey, there's Joe.
Yeah, of course. Joe's mic works just in time to interrupt everyone. There we go. Hey, there he is. How's it going, Joe?
I was waiting to interrupt. Intern.
You've never waited to interrupt anyone.
What's up, Mikey?
That's true.
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
I put my AirPod in. Good, man. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you've been...
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Joe. You keep working on that connection, and we'll get to the good stuff. Hammy, what have you been up to?
Good stuff.
So, I'll start with the big mammoth in the room. That I was elected to Worshipful Master last fall, got installed, and just about 2 months later, took a step back due to, personal issues. So nothing to do with Masonry at all, just I really needed to step away from all of Masonry in order to try and get myself back together. So, just figured I'd start with that one just so everybody kind of knows and throw it out there that, I still apologize to my lodge for what I did, but, I had to do what I had to do. So
Personal health, family health comes first.
Always.
100% of the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So But then from there, yes, I stepped away from, all the responsible side of masonry, but I still chose to do some things for fun. Like I went and saw the first degree of the operatives that I've been invited to join.
Ooh, that's right.
So, yeah.
Hmm.
I was supposed to also get the second degree, but that was the weekend right after I got back from my trip to Greece. And that was, just too close, I was jet lagged, and it was like, oh yeah, I got to drive 4 hours over to the middle of Pennsylvania, see a degree, and rush 4 hours back home to go to my wife's cousin's wedding. So no, that was just not going to work out well.
No.
That's where the first French fries were made.
Where were they made,
Oh,
Jason?
okay.
Fries while you're there. In Greece.
But don't.
Yes, because they have them with almost everything.
It was a joke.
That was the worst dad joke I've ever heard.
Of course, I also had a lot of ouzo too. So.
Ooh.
So,
Yeah. Now that's kind of a staple of their with their dinners.
so what brought you over to Greece? What was the Greece vacation all about?
So that was we have Belgian taverns, Belgian shepherds, and their national dog show was in Greece this year, and my wife wanted to go. Now we didn't take our dogs, but she wanted to go see some other people she knew competing. And, there's always, at those kind of shows, there's always some good shopping and that kind of thing. So she wanted to go to that. So we took a friend of ours who also has Belgian taverns, and all three of us went over to Greece. And what was really nice is we actually have friends who live here whose the husband is actually originally from Greece. And he lived in, or had a, I'm sorry, I should say this. He had a summer home in Rockis Stylites. And it's not the, like if you look up Rockis, you'll find this village on an island. It's not that one. But it's on the Aegean. But if you look up Rockis Stylites, you'll find this one. And actually, right where we stayed right on the water, right on the Aegean there. Out my back window at about 2 o'clock-ish is the Pass of Thermopylae. For all of you 300 buffs, that's the Pass of Thermopylae. So, and it was, yeah.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, that was a great trip. Getting to visit the Oracle Delphi. My wife actually walked all the way to the top. I ended up stopping. I was like, "Yep, that's it." Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, for the YouTubers, we've got the Google Maps up here. Try to find that out.
Yeah. And where I was actually at is right about where it says Stelica over there. Right about there, in that region over there.
Nice.
So, yep. And actually, over where Thermopylae is, there's actually a statue of Leonidas. But because, as you see that freeway there, that didn't used to be there, obviously. I don't mean back when Leonidas, but
they were only up
recent.
to exit 47 by then.
Does the statue look like Gerard Butler?
Yeah, probably. I didn't get to go see it because it's not easy to get to. You can't go down that freeway and just get there. You've actually got to go a lot of back roads to actually get to it now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
It's
kind
of like the myth of Thermopylae.
Yes.
I don't know why I expected anything different.
Yeah. But, it was just cool to know that, and obviously, if you took a look at a map and everything of it all, and we're like, well, how the heck did they? Yeah, that's not exactly where it was. It's there, but the water was, the water level was much different back then, where it blocked off a lot more land mass and so forth in that region to make them have to go through a certain pass, the Persians, to be able to, when they came inland there. So
Makes sense.
yeah.
So did you do anything? I mean, so you hit some of the historical sites. You
Oh yeah. In Athens, we obviously went to. Oh yeah, my brain just went dead on it. Well, the big Mount Olympus place up there, with Athena's, you know, yeah, yeah, you worshipped Athena up there. But anyway, we also went to the both the Roman and ancient Greek agoras in Athens. They've actually they rebuilt. Well, it's actually more modernized, but they actually built up one of the old ancient agora buildings into a new building, and it's actually a museum in there.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's it's actually a great place to be.
All right. So what was your
I
favorite
will.
part of the trip then? What was like the biggest like oh wow moment for the whole thing?
I'm gonna check something here because I have a feeling my wife was telling me. Oh, the Parthenon. That's it. That's what's at the top.
Thank you,
Yes.
dear. The Parthenon.
I really,
Of course.
yeah. I will tell you, I actually like the Parthenon and the Oracle. Those are nice. But we also went to the monasteries of Meteora, which I will share an image of that here in a second.
Sure.
I find one here. But for those of you that are James Bond fans, there was, in the movie For Your Eyes Only, there was a monastery that they had supposedly, that the bad guys had supposedly used for smuggling. And it's actually one of these monasteries of Meteora. Meteora, which when I share this here a second, I will explain it, but it's they're giant pillars of rock with monasteries on top. So there we go.
Oh wow.
So I'm not sure. Yeah. There's that one. Let me see if I can pull up another one here real quick. A better view.
Here, yeah, Google found me this one. Does this look? How does this look?
Switching back here so I can see the screen there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the lower ones, because there's the great Meteora, or Grand, and then let's see here. There's that one, and I'm going to just switch to sharing screen instead of sharing an individual image.
Don't tell me you hiked up those steps and went to the top, did you?
Oh God, yes, we did.
Oh,
my wife,
really?
Oh God, yes. Yep, I got made to do that. I will put it that way.
It's kind of one of those. When in Rome.
See, there's the Grand Meteora.
It's Greece.
Is up there, at the top, and it's actually, I think this one is actually the Grand Meteora. No, it's the one on top. And then let's see, find this one here. Is that the one? Yeah, this one here. This is the one that was in the James Bond film. And this one is actually, it's a little lower than the Grand Meteora. Now, the thing is, the Grand Meteora has I think it was 360 steps to get there.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, we'll do that one first, And well, here's the thing. The Grand Meteora is the one that everybody wants to visit because it's the grand one. It's big. It's, So they've actually got it where it's like you walk 5 steps and then you're on a flat. And then it's 5 steps up and a flat, okay? As it, does switchbacks to get up all the way up there. So you've got plenty of time to climb and rest. This one is only 145 steps.
Only.
But it's like, yeah, well, I mean, in comparison
Straight
to
up.
360, mind you, that's about it too, because you climb up 20 steps and you have a little landing, and switch back a little bit, 20 steps and a landing, So you're you're killing yourself walking straight up.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. That one did. They're somewhere in all of this, actually probably on my wife's phone, not on my stuff, is the picture of me sitting there at the top dying. So,
But you made it back. That's good. Was
Yeah,
was the trip to the top worth it? That's the big question.
oh yeah,
I got that,
I mean they are. I mean, I'll show you one picture that I've got from there because my wife took more because we're not allowed to take pictures inside.
Oh, interesting.
But this is a lot like what it's like inside there.
Oh, wow.
It's
beautiful.
and it's and that's a lot of that is not retouched and fixed up.
Right.
It's remained that way. So
Is that Jesus?
yes, it is. Yes, it is. And you got to remember. I mean, I'm sure Well, actually, I'll just say it for our listeners that may not know. This is the Byzantine Catholics.
Oh, okay.
Or Eastern the Eastern Orthodox. So not Roman Catholic monasteries. And these Meteora, the use of them goes back to about 600 AD. Not the top, mind you. The buildings, the tops were built closer to the 1200s, but hermit monks were living in crevices and caves in these from around 600 AD on. And it was a good place to hide, because the Turks were invading, so there was a lot of hunting of Christians at the time.
Try turning your screen sharing off again.
Yep,
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, you're back now.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's two buttons, it turns out, I got to push and remember.
Gotcha. So that was awesome.
But,
I'm glad you shared that. I'm sure that was beautiful sights, kind of once in a lifetime thing. I'm super jealous. I'm super jealous of your trip. I'm super jealous of Joe's trip. He's going to talk to us about that in the next week or so.
Okay.
But then you also have been playing with a new toy recently.
That's right.
Right?
Yes, I got a new telescope last year is when I got it. The last year or the year before, but it doesn't really matter.
After
I've been
COVID,
playing with it more recently. Yeah.
Time just skips over.
That's it.
So what did you get?
So I got what is known as it's a unistellar EV scope Equinox. Now I'll pull that up here just because you know what? I got to show it. And look them up, and then I've got pictures of my own. But because Unistellar actually has several of these things, and they're awesome. So I'll share the entire screen again here. Go right to this. So they have, let's see here. So this is their what is known as their EV scope, and it will be this one would be the EV scope 2 because that's a newer one.
Okay.
It's got a better camera. They're not bigger around or anything. They're all about the same size of this, scope.
And everything.
Yeah. It's just this one has it's got a little more memory. Has a little more megapixels for the camera, that kind of stuff. Now, the one thing that's different about these than mine because mine is known as the Equinox. These are EV scopes.
Okay.
The EV scope has this right here, this eyepiece. This is not a real eyepiece like you'd see on a regular telescope.
Okay.
It's when you look into it, it's actually a little LED screen.
Like a screen?
TV.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So it shows you the images of what you're seeing that are being captured live. So yeah, so this is the one I have. This is the one that the newer model.
So
Now
yes,
these are,
you've been sharing
Oh,
some
go ahead.
awesome pictures because I think that's what's
Yes.
really cool about this. They're not cheap, as you can see on the screen, but oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like for just us amateur astronomers, like that is a nice a nice toy to be playing with because of
Well,
the ability to capture these things digitally, like clean right off of the telescope.
Right. Well, and what's great about it, the biggest thing, I mean, yeah, that's actually great because you can capture pictures and all that.
Hmm.
But the part I find the greatest is that you set it up and you point it at any position in the sky. Just has to have stars and it has to be dark because it won't. I'll cover this a little bit later about
Okay.
the solar because we you and I have talked a little about
Oh yeah.
the idea, but it will not track during daylight
Okay.
because
So
its job is to work at night. Now, it's got special filters, so like if you're in the city, you will be able to get some of these really great stuff, even though
Really?
you've got bright lights all around you.
well, I'll be darned.
So,
But it does star tracking, right? So you just point it in the
Yes,
sky,
that's where
and
I
it
was
knows. Okay, it knows where it is relative,
Mm-hmm.
and so then when you put it in a new location, it knows where it is relative to that, right?
yeah. And I'll
Nice.
explain this too. It has
Like
to
the
be
paparazzi.
driven. Yeah, that's right. This has to be driven either by.
That's all I can add to the
Yeah.
conversation here.
Awesome.
Oh, I'm sure you could go twinkle, twinkle, little star. Anyway, in any case,
Now I wonder what hammy are.
Here we are.
yeah. What was I going to say there? You can't use like regular telescopes that have a good mount that actually has computer drive and all that stuff.
Right.
You can hook with a computer. This one you can't. Now, granted,
Interesting.
it's got I'm going to tell you, it's got an onboard computer. Its
Okay.
onboard computer is a Raspberry Pi. You
Interesting.
don't have access. You don't have access to that unless you want to crack it.
Yeah.
Like other people. But point is, you don't really have any access to that. However, the way that they have this is there are apps for Android and iOS devices. So it could be a phone or a tablet. Now, I typically drive it with my phone and share the images because I can actually connect up to 10 items to this. 10 tab, whatever,
Wow.
to do it. But it's only driven by a phone, or an iOS or Android device, which is a complaint, by the way, of a lot of Unistellar users out there who some of them are, more interested in trying to do stuff with a computer.
Right. Yeah. I can see
Eventually they may do that, but not yet. Now, the other side to it is you have to ad hoc connect to it for Wi-Fi. So in other words, when you turn it on, it broadcasts a Wi-Fi name. You connect to it just like you would your home Wi-Fi.
that. Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
But you're connected directly to it. I will throw in a small caveat because that's how I'm doing it tonight, by the way. My telescope is sitting in my backyard. I will see if I actually have access to the photo that I took of that to share. 1 second here.
Yeah, and while he's loading that up, I mean, if you have followed his, Mike the Intern page or you're friends with Mike on Facebook, you've seen some of the pictures that he's been taking, and it's amazing what you can get right in your backyard. These things that it's no James Webb telescope, but it's the next best thing. It really is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of that, I couldn't find the photo, but it's actually set up in my backyard right now. It's probably 100 feet from my house. Now, I'm not connected directly to it because what I did is I went out and I bought a Wi-Fi extender, which the extender connects to it, and I connect to the extender from my phone.
So theoretically, you could connect to it right now.
Plot thickens.
Yes, and I will make sure I got my Zoom up here.
What?
Because I have a Zoom meeting set up here. And we will share the Zoom meeting here. And
It's teleconferenceception.
Yeah.
so, I'm assuming you guys can see that nicely there.
Okay, so wait a minute. So let me make sure that I got this right.
Yeah.
We are watching live
Yes.
a stream from your telescope in 100 feet from your house of, what's that, the Alcade
It's
star?
Alcade Star. That's the one, and it's actually in the lower left there.
Wow.
Because it's moved a little bit since since I locked in on it, and and even though it tracks, if you're not using enhanced view, it won't lock in and stay on it. Which I'll explain that in a moment here, because what we're going to do is I'll pull up the catalog.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to switch over for a second because
sure, yeah,
I love this. I mean, these stars are beautiful. These things that Hammy finds are awesome.
Yeah,
I'll
stop sharing for a second. Yeah.
While you play around with that and go to your next one, it's always good to see these great images, and I also want to know, where are they in the sky? Like, if I wanted to kind of get a ballpark of where these things are, there's a really cool program called Stellarium. It's free. They have a desktop app, and they have a web app now, and you can just go right in, put in your location, and you can actually search for that star. So I looked up the Alcade star, and that is right there at the handle of the Big Dipper. So that's exactly what we were just seeing live from Hammy's telescope.
And I will tell you, I actually have a telescope that I can use Stellarium with, and because Stellarium can drive a telescope that like we were talking about. So what I've done is I've taken it. It's still slewing, as it's called, to M51.
Okay, looking up M51. Here we go. Where's M51?
Yep.
We're going to, while he's doing that, I'm going to go look that up in Stellarium. Let's see where that is. That is a galaxy in a pair of galaxies just below Alcade.
Yes, it's actually in the handle of the Big Dipper.
There you go. Yep.
All right. Yeah.
Just
Pretty
below
sure.
it. Just right below it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and share here because it's actually gotten there. And as you can see, it's not what you would expect yet. It's two little stars there.
Still more than I can see. I'll put it that way.
So with a standard telescope, and I'm talking standard like a 4-inch or even a 5-inch diameter reflecting telescope, you can actually see this, which we're going to see next in a moment here with the naked eye. I'm going to explain what this is doing, because when I hit enhanced view, what it's actually doing is taking photographs and actively stacking them, which is what if I were using my other telescope and I had my regular camera on it, I would have it sitting there on continuous. I gotta slow down. It would stay open longer.
Gotcha.
The lens would stay, the camera would stay open longer, but every so often though, I would let it actually snap, and there's basically snap and stop taking and start again. And then using something like GIMP or Photoshop, or there's tons of other photo software out there, I would stack those photos layered on layer. And there would also be things known as dark slides or white slides to adjust things. And then I might even be using filters to add different colors. But what this actually does is an enhanced view. It is actually taking shot after shot after shot with different gains already set. It has an automatic gain to it. And right now, let's see, it's kind of doing it. So what we're going to do here, there you go.
Oh.
So you can sort of start to see that there.
Nice.
And the longer you leave it, the more light it'll bring in, the better the picture looks. But we can actually start to fix that a little bit already by going here and turning off the auto mode.
This is what we're looking for
And-
here. This is a
and I would-
pre-captured picture here, but I'll switch back because I want to see your
Yeah.
auto mode, because this is fantastic to see. It's adjusting this stuff on the fly. It's improving the resolution of this stuff on the fly.
Yeah, and what I did here is I increased the brightness of the object itself,
Oh, look at
and
that.
then I took the background and decreased its brightness, and now go back in, and as you can see, it's much, it's a little bit clearer of what the two galaxies there.
So this is like a live
Mm-hmm.
view of M51 right now.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And I can do
Apologies
that
to anyone
with...
who is listening to this episode.
Oh,
Listening
yes, I'm
after
so
the fact.
sorry, folks,
Not-
but, because,
not really
listening
that
is not going to
sorry.
be as exciting.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, just to see this in real time, I really, in all seriousness, didn't know that, this was possible in this kind of like quote unquote real time, because I know you have to do long dwell at night, right? Long exposure, right, to get
Oh, yeah.
anything that looks halfway decent.
So I'm going to stop sharing this. I've got something else I'll share here real quick. It's an image I took last night.
Yeah, I mean, so this is what the M51 twin galaxies here looks like with these, it's kind of baked into stellarium, but you got very, very close to that in just a matter of minutes, and I think that's
Yeah.
that I'm super jealous. That's a nice toy.
And what I was last night, I set up my telescope actually on the porch. Where I moved it to tonight, is where I usually have it. But last night I was like, I'm just going to do a few quick things. Well, I left it up all night, and this morning I woke up, and at that time, which was about 3:30 in the morning, the Horsehead Nebula and the Orion Nebula were just coming up.
Nice.
Well, on my porch where I have the scope set, that was actually behind the tree, so I couldn't take that shot.
Oh, bummer.
So, tonight I actually moved it down there, and I'll probably leave it out all night. But here I'm going to bring up a shot I took last night that I left it running for 65 minutes. And actually, if you want to pull this up on Stellarium real quick first, John,
Yeah.
it's the Triangulum Galaxy.
The triangle.
Just so everybody can Yep.
Okay, M33.
Yes. Okay.
Make sure I got that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep, that's it. That's the one. It is that big, and it's big. It's a big galaxy. The biggest one that we see in our night sky, I also have another picture of, and that is Andromeda. But it's not. Andromeda is nice because you can see it, but you can almost naked eye that one, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so because Andromeda is also our closest galaxy, but
Correct. Mm-hmm.
closest neighbor, I should say. So now let's see. We're going to start sharing.
So you took a picture of
Yeah.
M33 then.
Yep.
Nice.
And yeah, just do entire screen here. Oh, good Lord, why is it? Oh, there we go. Okay, so now pull that image up. There it is. And they don't all come with this circle around. I mean, every one of them will, but I get two shots now. And the old app version 1, you had to choose whether you wanted the circle around it or you didn't. The ones I'm sharing, I did it so it would have the names and information on it. So this is, the M33 Triangulum. This was 65 minutes. I actually started it.
Whoa.
Yeah, because
So you
I
had
actually
over
I woke
an
up
hour
a couple
exposure.
times. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So now
Right.
let's see, where is, did I keep any of those? Actually, I think
I mean,
well,
Geez,
this
that's
one
that's as good as you'll
is-
get here. What's
Yeah.
what's the next one? M63.
this is the sunflower galaxy.
Let's look at some sunflowers here.
Yeah.
One over there.
This one's only a 9-minute.
All right, let me switch over to you. We're looking at that. Holy smokes. Only after 9 minutes you got that kind of clarity. That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. And this one is one I really like. It's actually up closer to the whirlpool, also in the same part of the sky. This is not one of my better shots, but this one is hard. I actually have to do a lot of enhancements on what I'm telling it to do. So, if you know the bright and
So that's M101, the Pinwheel Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that was 17 minutes exposure on yours, and then here again to compare, here's what you get right out of Stellarium of that same constellation. So again, Stellarium has all this. It's open source. It's pulling from all these different images of different galaxies. But in 17 minutes, you get it's like almost identical resolution right in your backyard. That just blows my mind. That's awesome.
And then there's, and you can, and some of these you can see, with a good, just a regular telescope, you can actually see these things,
That's
It's just a matter of,
looking at the Dumbbell Nebula.
Yep. This one's just one of the quick shots of it. Let me see. I've got one that's a little longer. So, is it this one that's longer?
Yeah. M27 there.
Nope, that's another.
You actually have a better picture than Stellarium. Stellarium's got a pretty crappy low-res version. Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, 21 minutes was, the one that, I just had up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, and that's, one guy actually said to me, he says, start doing it at least 15 minutes.
Okay.
He said, and, he says, what's funny, though, is to get better, though, you actually have to, it's a jump from 15 minutes to 4 hours.
Oh, okay.
To get that much better,
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see, our whirlpool is actually not really doing much enhancement here now, so. But we can, I can.
So, it's easy to say that you're satisfied with the performance of this telescope.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
And one thing that I know about you that most probably listeners do not, you are a member of your local amateur astronomers club, right?
Yes, the Chagrin Valley Astronomical Society.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
And what's really cool about Unistellar, by the way, in all of this, there's actually, I'm going to share this too real quick, but there's a part of the app for scientific observations.
Okay.
And did I share that? Yeah, not yet.
No.
Let's grab it. Wait a minute, what's going on there? Oh, it's sharing the whole screen. That's what it's doing. That's fine.
So what would you do?
It didn't pop up. It's okay. It just didn't pop up and ask me to do that. That's okay. I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can see that, it should be showing. Let me close that thing in the background there.
There we go.
So you should be seeing, So you should be seeing that it says scientific observations. Now, what that is we can actually, I've actually signed up. I am a missions member, so I can start observing asteroid occultations, which is an asteroid passing in front of a star.
Oh.
That's what an occultation is, any object passing in front of a star, because it's occulting it.
Occult means hidden.
Yes, yeah.
So we're now talking occult things on
Yeah,
Masonic Roundtable.
yeah, and yes. And I can actually do exoplanet transits, which means, we're not talking about planets in our solar system. We're talking about planets in other solar systems. If, you've observed the star long enough, it's very possible to see a transit.
Wow.
I can also do, get involved in the planetary defense for the, which is the near Earth objects, which is again an asteroid passing between the moon and the planet Earth itself, or closer.
Nice.
And, cometary activity.
Commentary.
So, yeah, oops, skip that. I didn't want to go to that. There we go.
So what's been your favorite feature of this telescope instead of apps?
Is just the very fact that I can walk out to my yard, set it up, point to a certain part in the sky, go into it and tell it to basically I have to tell it learn this spot. I mean, it's getting GPS, so it knows that, but it needs to identify that part in the sky. Once it does that, then I can come into the catalog and tell it to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, that makes it super easy, because anyone who's tried to do it, with cheaper telescopes,
it's orientation is what
it's really hard to get the orientation straight and lock.
Oh yeah, because any regular, a lot of the regular telescopes, when you go to do that, you have to take, even the one I have out there, not the one I'm using, the one I have out in the barn that actually has a really good mount that I can hook my computer to. I actually have to point it at anything. The guys always tell me anything other than Polaris, but it's actually 2 or 3 stars, so it triangulates its position because it's not getting GPS coordinates, to do it. But some of the newer computerized mounts will do that too, So let's share all that stuff there.
Yeah, Polaris is pretty easy to find.
Mm-hmm. But because it's the North Star, if you use it as one of your triangulations, it will throw some things off because of its, It's actually better to choose stuff like Boo, which is in Boots, and Arcturus.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And a couple, and a few others. It's usually your, like 2 or 3 of the brightest stars in the sky, because you have to pretty much naked eye move those. You tell the computer to, you tell your scope to move there. Manually, you're like using the controller and going, hey, move over.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're using the guide scope to look up and go, okay, it's in there. Okay, look down in the IP. Okay, it's in there and centered. Okay, now lock in on that one. Okay, now go here. Okay, now we got the 3. Are we done?
Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give to Brother Mason, or not a Mason, right, who's just interested in kind of like dipping their toes in the water of this like amateur astronomy? Because again, just live while here on the show, you were able to put a really clear picture in a couple of minutes of a twin galaxy.
So,
it just like
so
how would one get started? What would they want to do?
Yeah, the honest answer is
go to Mikey's house.
If you're
find a friend with an expensive telescope.
There's a couple of really good answers with that, actually. If you have a local astronomy club, go join them. They're usually pretty cheap, and I don't mean, they're totally inexpensive, but they usually are. And they usually have telescopes that they let you use. Plus the members, they have star parties, and they will let you look into the sky.
Star party.
Well, yeah.
That sounds
and it's,
fun.
They are. It's, the best one, and I still have yet to get there, is in, I think it's Cherry Hill, Pennsylvania. It's it's one of the darkest sky areas in the eastern United States.
Really?
Yeah.
Cherry Hill.
It's actually, I think it's Cherry Hill. It's Cherry something, and it's in mid-northern PA. It's a big park over there, listed as a dark skies.
Wow.
And now near me, though, which is, I happen to be lucky in this. First off, I have a club called Sugar Valley Astronomical Society, and they own their own observatories at Indian Hill, which is in Huntsburg, Ohio, which is 10, 15 minutes away from my house. Now, what's even cooler, though, is right up the street, in less than a mile is Observatory Park, which is part of the Geauga County Park System in Montville, Ohio. It is that park was actually visited by the Dark Skies Authority, I think they're called. I don't remember the name, but they actually have silver certification dark sky area.
And what does that mean?
And that there is, well, that's one of the darkest areas east of the Mississippi. Because I will tell you, gold and platinum level are west of the Mississippi. There's nothing gold and platinum dark skies this side.
You really got to get away from the East Coast, huh?
That's right. And really, where you're going west is Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona,
wide open spaces.
Into the desert.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
There's no water.
Those are the areas. Yeah, you don't need water for this,
Well, they don't have clouds. Well, I mean, there's no clouds there, right? You go to Arizona, if you're not in the mountains, there's not a single cloud in the sky. So usually makes for good.
Yeah, and there's that.
Rising.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And what's really nice about that is, I'm sure you guys have seen them where they have those pictures. If you look up in the sky, you can actually see the edge of the Milky Way.
Naked
like
eye,
if you look out in your own night sky, naked eye, you're not going to see that because you got too much light.
Right.
Now, for you guys though, actually, you're pretty close to an area that you'd be able to do that. It's in West Virginia and it's up there and up into the mountains. But yeah. It gets pretty good and dark up in them. Yeah, well, it's in, I have some friends that live down there that have told me that they see it, so.
Wow.
I haven't actually been there, so I can't say, oh yeah, it's great, you can see it. No. Mm-hmm. But anyway, back to what I would suggest is first off, join one of those clubs so you can get because first off, you run out and buy an expensive telescope. And I know this happens because this is how I got mine. People run out and buy these things, and it's hard to do. It's not, I told you, you got to triangulate. And every time, and you get some of these, you get a 10-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope, which it's there's a short tube. Actually, I'm too close. It's short tube. But they're 75 pounds.
Yeah.
So you got to carry that to wherever you're setting it up.
That's true.
And that's not the tripod. That's just the scope.
That's just the tube. Yeah. Joe, you've had a problem with the short tube.
Well, I would recommend that you're a Weisenheimer, number one, and number two, why don't you get the new people in the club to carry all the heavy crap? And
there you go.
Right? That's like part of your initiation. Right? You carry
right. Oh, and that happens there. But where I was going, though, is I've run into this where people actually go out and they buy these, computer telescopes. They get the software, they get it set up, and they're out there, and it's an hour before you're ready to go. So now mine, is fast because of the way it's designed.
Yeah.
But the other ones, you're really focused on trying to make it work. So people get bored easily on this stuff. So if you're serious, you'll have get there. It's kind of like in masonry. How we tell everybody, it's a journey, not a sprint, or it's,
get out of it what you put into it.
That's all of that. It really is.
I think I just killed Joe with that comment.
Yeah, I know.
I just stroked out hard.
But the point I'm making though is, your own amateur astronomy is that. Even with mine, I haven't been out a lot with it. My wife's had it out a few times that, because I was like, well, I'll set it up for you and you're on your own, because I was bored that night and didn't want to do it,
Yeah.
So, that's where I'm going is be prepared that, to start with, look into it. Have other people do the work for you. Have them find the stars. Now, however, if you've got a kid, you want to help them and you want to show this stuff, you want them to learn, you can do it sort of the way I did. And I'll start this. I started off binoculars. Just regular field binoculars. You can see Saturn and Jupiter, and
True.
you can see all of that. And
So
with
was it
Jupiter,
was
you
it
can see
Newton?
5 of the moons.
Was it Newton that like could see the ears or the
Galileo.
handles, or was it Galileo?
Galileo
I think you're
discovered
right.
the 5 moons, 5 of the moons of Jupiter, and they're the Galilean moons. Um, and when I was a kid, I mean, I got this is I got some photos here. I'm going to share here a second. Just pull them up because I took these because I was like, oh yeah, I pulled out my note. I found my folder from when I was a kid, and in my folder, I had a book on building your own telescope, which that's an option, by the way, even today, to
Holy
even read
smokes.
this book and build a telescope. This is an
Yes.
Astronomy and You comic book that tells you about stuff. This Discover the Stars tells you how to use telescopes, how to actually follow the constellations. The white image there is actually from Chagrin Valley Astronomical Society. When I was 11 years old, they gave me that because I visited one of their meetings. And then, but this is the thing that
Question
actually
for
got
you there,
me.
Mikey,
Yeah, go ahead.
while you're putting pictures up. You mentioned the binoculars, man. In a place like Northern Virginia where there's crap tons of light pollution, you can still use binoculars.
You can. I mean, it's going to be a little tougher, but I mean, you'll be able to see the planets aren't that hard. It's the deeper sky objects you're going to have more difficulty because of the brights. So now, and I haven't tested this myself right now, so I'm not going to say take your binoculars out and go look for M51. But I will say this: any M cataloged object should be pretty good for even binoculars. And there's a lot of star clusters in that, a lot of nebulas, and I'll tell you why. Those were all discovered by Charles Messier. And his actual name for his catalog, which we now just call, Messier, M, whatever.
That's the M word. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were all. His thing was objects that are not comets.
Okay.
He was a contemporary of Halley, and he wanted to find a comet to be just as famous. So he didn't care that he found galaxy after galaxy after galaxy and nebulas, and he was looking at
No
those
one
and he
else
goes, "Oh,
can
that's
see
not
them.
You're cool
Yeah.
if you get named after a comet, or a comet gets named after
Right.
you. There you go.
Yeah. So anyway, though, this photo here is of my first star chart, which was in National Geographic World Magazine.
See, that's where I
in
started.
1979.
I had something not unlike this, except it was like a cardboard wheel that you could turn, and it had a cutout about the shape of that circle, and you could spin the wheel, and it would show you. It would rotate the constellations through that wheel, and then you could just hold it up to the night sky and say, "Okay, yeah, I see the 3 stars of Orion's belt. Okay, now I'm oriented. I know where that is now."
Yep.
And then I can now find everything else around that. And I think it's a good start. I mean, again, that's a really good easy way to say.
And that's what I did,
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I actually had one night while I was out there using my binoculars, I made this incredible discovery of these 7 stars in a tight cluster in the sky, and I was like, "Oh my God, I found something! I really found it!" Because it's not on my map, mind you. It was Pleiades, by the way.
What?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I didn't discover it,
The 7 Sisters.
But then this was next from National Geographic as well, and this was actually on the back side of that picture. I was like, "Oh, I got to put that up there,"
So what I'm hearing is like use what you have, right? Find good, cheap, free resources. Get out there. Like you don't need a $4,000 telescope. You can just go out in the backyard, nice pair of field binoculars, start finding finding orient yourself, right, to what the common
Right.
constellations are. Find where the North Star is. Find some of your major constellations, Orion, the Big Dipper, right? Those kind of things that
Yeah.
can get you like just locked in, and
Yeah.
then explore.
And all, you know, any of our phones, there's you know, if you have a smartphone, you have access to some free apps.
True.
There's Starwalk 2, Sky Live. There's this
Even
one is on- there's
Stellarium.
another one
Stellarium has an app
yeah,
too.
Stellarium is on there.
I like it because it's open source. You know, it's just free,
Yes.
available. Always.
I'm
up
glad
to
you said apps because I was actually going to chime in because I am nowhere near. Mike, I was telling the guys this before the show, and sorry for being late again. But I was
Yeah,
actually
that's okay.
mentioning to them, I know I get a demerit that once you started posting
Shut
all
up,
those
Amy.
amazing pictures,
10 points from Slytherin.
oh. So once you
You're
started
totally a
posting all those
Slytherin.
pictures, awesome pictures. Shut up, Ruark. So once we started, posting
I think Joe's a Hufflepuff.
yeah, I am. I'm very aloof and free thinking.
Yeah.
I went out and bought a telescope. I think I actually
Badger.
Right? I think
Yeah,
we
you
messaged
did.
for a
You
little
asked
while.
me about. Yes.
And got me super jazzed about getting into astronomy again. Last time I'd done it was when I was a kid with my dad, but we took it out to the beach, super dark, no light pollution after 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And you brought up, John, I found an app. It was free. It's called Sky Guide.
Yes.
And it shows all the constellations. It is dead on point. Like if I had Sky Guide, and I had like a $150 telescope,
Mm-hmm.
refractor telescope, nothing too crazy, but
Yeah.
without all that light pollution of being in the suburbs, you know what I mean? We were out by the beach. It was pitch black. All the lights went out at 10, 11 o'clock. We
Yeah.
could see everything, man. It was so
Wow.
easy to find stuff. And, again, nothing at the level that, you're putting up like pictures of God, man. It's like, boom, creation.
Yeah.
I don't get those. But yeah, it was absolutely fun to see. And we would be out there for 2-3 hours just catching as much as we could. So.
Yeah, there's also an app, that for you guys you should look at. I think it's called Dark Sky. Let me find this real quick because I have.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, Dark Sky.
Yeah.
There is an app called Dark Sky, and it shows, just like you're looking at a weather map. It's the greens, the oranges, and all the yellows and all that. I would share it, but I actually killed the Zoom meeting. But in any case, it'll show you, what the levels of light pollution, and you can actually find yourself going, oh, that's only right around the corner from me. I'll go up there, to that park.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And set up. If they're, obviously you have to know if your parks will let you and so forth, but plenty of them do. And like I said, reach out, find an astronomy club. You don't actually have to join them, but if you pay attention to them, they have star parties, and you'll go, and some of their people will bring in these awesome telescopes. We had a guy who used to come to one of ours, which we now have. He actually passed away and donated his telescope. It was an 18-inch Dobsonian telescope.
Wow.
Now a Dobsonian is a reflecting Newton type telescope, but it sits on it sits right on the ground. It's not a, it's not on a tripod and all that. It's actually in a box that, but it's,
That's super cool. Well, I think just to kind of bring things back to Masonry for a second, right? We as Masons, we appreciate astronomy as, one of the 7 liberal arts and sciences. And, if you are doing a presentation for anything that's based on astronomy, like I can't, talk about Stellarium enough because it's free, it's open source, it's got a really good database. It's accessible, and again, even when I was starting to play with it for Masonic Lodge presentations, no kidding, they didn't even have the web version, right? So as long as you can get a good enough signal, you can start, going through. You can talk about Pleiades and the Seven Sisters. You can talk about, some of the other zodiacal and other sorts of influences to, what we're taught to study as Masons. So that's certainly something that you should. Throw it right into your lodge presentations for sure.
The Royal Arch of
People,
Heaven.
Centaurs.
Bingo. All right, that's great
Yes.
stuff. Hey, Hammy, this has been fantastic. Glad having you on here. We're going to start wrapping it up, and I'm going to start with you to give your final thoughts on astronomy and anything else that you want to talk about on the way out.
Yeah.
So over to you, Hammy.
So, astronomy it's a great hobby, but it does take work. Even what I'm doing, I'm going to tell you this about that scope real quick, just to throw it out there too. You actually have to focus that scope. You actually have to collimate it, which means align your mirror with the camera. There's tricks and everything they teach you. It's all in all the instructions on setting it up. But if you don't, you'll end up with these little triangle stars or out of focus. And actually, if you guys had taken a little closer look at those pictures, the stars are a little bit triangular. Now, I need do a little bit better on the collimation, but
I
people
didn't
don't
notice.
even, most people don't. But if I share those up on the Unistellar groups on Facebook, oh yeah, I get the. You need to collimate. You need to focus better. But it's true. It's true. I do need to. I need to spend a little more time setting it up. And that's. It's important in all of that. And it doesn't matter. Everybody who's got any hobby will tell you, there's no hobby that isn't work.
Yes, or another way that my parents said is, you can do a hobby cheaply, or you can do it very expensively, right? You can throw a lot of money into a hobby, and thank you for sharing, your expensive hobby with us, because man, I'm jealous, and I can't wait to the time we get back together and really just nerd out over your fun toy, because we are small, insignificant pieces of the universe.
What is it? 2024? You guys need to be up here, right?
We do. Yeah. We really do. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Hammy. It's been awesome, and thanks for coming back on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Let's head over to Joe. Hey, Joe. Welcome.
Yeah, not much to say. Sorry I was late again. I know I'm going to get yelled at the next big boy meeting, so I apologize. But Hammy, missed you. So glad you came on the show. And I really wish I got to listen to everything, which was awesome. I wish I got to participate a little bit more, because I could pick your brain about astronomy all night long. So thank you for reinvigorating my love for looking at the stars. In fact, I just literally gave a presentation on the quadrivium and astronomy this afternoon. So super relevant things, looking up at the night sky. And unlike John, who thinks we're small and insignificant, I think we're beautiful and unique. So, John. So that's all I got. We'll talk later. All right. So good to see y'all. I'll be on the show next week. Pinky promise. And it'll be dope. Peace.
Awesome. All right, Jason. How are you?
I'm good.
Great.
So, Mike, first and foremost, I want to say thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate how dedicated you are to astronomy and how fascinated you are with that particular piece of science. I always learn so much whenever I talk to you about astronomy. It's just really cool. And so I greatly appreciate you being willing to come back on the show and share a little bit more about your passion with us. So that's awesome. Love you, and looking forward to having you back on at some point.
It's no history, but it'll do.
Oh.
I know. Jason was struggling with this one because he wasn't nerding out as much as I was. I was just loving all the things.
What are you talking about? I was fully engaged.
I was nerding out way more than you were. I'll be proud to admit that. So, Hammy, giggity. Thank you very much for coming on. Loved you sharing. I love just the live demonstration. That was fantastic. Just to see. I didn't realize it could do that kind of real time kind of observing of the night sky that easily. Again, you spend some time hyping it up. Where that obviously that telescope is not a sponsor of the show, but it's like, holy smokes, like I didn't realize the thought and the user interface to put into that to make it accessible, right? That it gets a lot of the friction out of the way of someone starting out with their experience trying to look at the night sky. So thank you again for sharing that. And that's what we're here to do as Masons. We're here to study the stars. We're here to find our place in the universe and really just take those lessons and improve ourselves in Masonry. And so with that, thank you very much, Hammy, for coming on. Thank you all very much for watching, and keep searching for more light. Have a good night.